Prayer. Let's pray. Lord God, today we just, sometimes more than others, we realize that we really do need your guidance. Today, we freely admit that we need your divine hand to lead us in the way that we should go. I pray especially for this group in this room this morning, the decisions they have to make, the choices they make. I pray for divine wisdom, understanding, and discernment to be theirs. Lord, I pray for a sense of peace in our world that is so torn by chaos. And Lord, we know that the only way to peace is through Jesus Christ. And we freely admit that we need that leadership today that we don't have. I just pray for your Holy Spirit to be with us. We know that you are. I guess I would pray that we would listen to when the Spirit speaks. Lord, I pray for all of our families, we pray for their safety, pray for the safety of this community. And Lord, I pray that we would turn to you and away from all the things that distract. For all that you do for us, we'll give you the praise, the honor, and the glory. I pray all this in the powerful name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. My phone quieter.
The giant glasses.
Yeah, these are made to read the screen in ours. That way I don't have to find the sweet spot on the glasses.
That's what I do.
Okay, it is now 9 o'clock and I call the meeting of the Benton County Commissioners to order. First item on the agenda, the minutes.
Mr. Chair, I didn't see any changes that needed to be made to the minutes, so I would move that we approve the minutes for January 22nd, 2026.
Second.
Then moved seconded to approve the minutes of January 22nd meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, bills and payroll.
Well, I see we got another big utility bill for the ball field there at the end.
Yeah.
$500.
I did talk to Blake. He said that they had just gotten their inspection finished on the day that I talked to him on, I think Friday last week. Yeah, can't remember exactly when I called him, but yeah, they said it just finished their inspection. So I asked them if they could please go out and unplug everything.
Yeah, after they flow out the, or
Yeah.
cut off the water.
Yeah,
out the
bring it
line.
back.
So. Okay. Did you get a chance to look at them?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
That was really good. What caught my eye was that one.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Um,
know, or Tiffany informed me of that. Like last Friday, I think it was, so. Beautiful, so. And. I think I. Saw anything.
Did you see it, Jennifer? Okay, I'll go ahead and make the motion we approve bills and payroll.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve bills and payroll. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We do these on the last page.
Uh, Yeah, that one, yeah.
Oh, goodness. The date, 2/12. One so far this year. Yes, I need to do, we just. Keep it on the page for you. I may not remember this, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay, next, set April meeting dates.
So are we setting two?
Would be best to set 3 and then we can. Hopefully at the next meeting, maybe make our adjustments.
Okay.
And figure out which one we. Cancel. So.
Like we normally do then first, second, fourth.
Yeah, so 2, 9, and 23.
Yep.
Yeah.
2, 9, and 23.
Did I get the wrong date?
No, that's Thursday, April, we're, oh wait, haha,
Yeah.
yeah, there was always an extra ahead, I know, I would be waiting. Soon, to look at March, yeah. Yes, we have been,
Okay.
yeah, so I can move that, we set our April meeting dates for the 2nd, the 9th, and the 23rd.
Second,
Been moved and seconded to set the April meeting dates for the 2nd, the 9th, and the 23rd.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, action items. Consider ratifying Chairman Stump's signature and approval on the January VSO report. Do I have a motion?
I'll move we ratify Chairman Stump's signature on the January BSO report.
I will second, sorry.
All right. Been moved and seconded to approve my signature on the January VSO report. Any discussion?
Will he be coming in, next month to update us on how things are going and what he's been working on and,
Yeah, I think that was the plan, so
oh,
on a quarterly.
that's what I was thinking too. So we need to make sure we get that on the schedule and let him know that we'd like him to come in and do that.
Would be what we need to do. All right, so.
We didn't do that, all those in favor?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action item 2. Consider ratifying Chairman Stump's signature awarding a contract to TLM Contracting for the County Road 13 Bridge. Concrete encasement of the existing piling in the amount of $49,506 with a completion date of no later than March 15th, 2026. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we ratify Chairman Stump's signature awarding the contract to TLM Contracting for the County Road 13 Bridge Concrete Easement. Encasement, not easement, sorry. Wrong thing on my mind.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve. My signature on the contract with TLM Contracting for the County Road 13 Bridge concrete encasement of the existing piling in the amount of $49,506 with a completion no later than March 15th of 2026. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
I will say that our road and bridge supervisor was extremely thrilled to find a company to put in a quote and then be able to get it done before water comes in.
Yes, and that's usually March 15th.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So it's,
yeah, he was really
we have
nervous.
time to shoot, yeah.
I thought we were gonna have to wait until fall to do it, so he was
That would
very
be after
pleased.
November 15th,
Yeah,
so.
And they are already working on
yeah,
it. So,
that's awesome.
okay. Next item, consider removal of John Spano from the RETAC board per recommendation of the Los Animas County Fire Protection District Board. Any discussion?
I'll make the motion to remove John Spanos from the RETAC RETAC board for the recommendation of the Los Angeles Mid-County Fire Protection District Board.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to consider removal of John Spano from the RETAC board per recommendations of the Los Animas County Fire Protection District Board. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval of an authorized chairman's signature on a temporary construction easement for access to 30061 State Highway 196 for Road and Bridge Capital Project. Any discussion? Do I have a motion?
Yeah, this is Rose, the BOCC County Attorney. I did review the agreement and worked with Doug, and to get it in the form that's before you today. We worked in the government immunity so that there wasn't any issues on indemnity. And with that, I would recommend approval.
Okay. Any further discussion? Do I have a motion?
I would move that we approve the authorization of Chairman Stump's signature on the temporary construction easement for access to 30061 State Highway 196 for the road and bridge capital fund.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to consider approval of an authorization of Chairman Stump's signature on a temporary construction easement for access to 30061 State Highway 196 for road and bridge capital project. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Action item number 5. Consider approval and authorize signatures of the commissioners on the DSS certification for payment of bills totaling $26,049.06. Any discussion?
I would move. We authorize signatures of the commissioners on the DESS certification for payment of the bills totaling $26,049.06.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to consider approval and authorize signatures of the commissioners on the DSS certification for payment of bills totaling $26,049.06. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Any further business?
Information. Go down all this
Uh,
information.
Board vacancies.
Oh, okay, board vacancy.
Okay. So we had openings on CSBG, Denver Cemetery, Senior Center, Community Center, zoning. We got a letter from Alex Netherton saying he would continue to serve on the Community Center board. And we received one for the Senior Center and one for the zoning. Powers clerk and I both ran ads for the Net Power Cemetery. Neither one of us have got any response. Cherie Temple is the secretary or their bookkeeper. She called yesterday and we told her we hadn't got any. So if she knows someone, please tell them to send a letter. So I'm hoping we get something that way.
Yeah.
So do you want me to continue putting an ad in the paper or what do you want to do?
What's it costing us? Quite a bit, right?
Mm,
I think they got that straightened out to where
Yeah.
the limit to what they charge.
It was maybe $20, I can't remember.
Have we been
I
putting
read
it?
it twice.
I think. The word's out by now, it shouldn't. I think everybody would be interested knows about it.
Okay.
Do we have it out on our Facebook page, though? It's getting shared around social media and
Yeah.
stuff, so
Then
hopefully.
I put it on there and then it's on the website.
Okay,
Yeah, I can actually bump it back up to the top and if we,
that might be helpful to see if it'll
That's
circulate
probably-
it a little bit more. Should we wait until our next meeting just to see if we can get some more
Yeah,
letters of interest
yeah.
and have,
I just,
yeah.
and. So the letter should be fine. I just kind of want to know if you want me to, like, what do you do?
It would be nice to have multiple people before we just.
Yeah, and like Alex was on this, same board.
And didn't
Just didn't
respond to your
send the
letter,
letter back.
yeah, didn't respond to the letter.
And I don't know about that CSBG, that one's,
I actually have a couple ideas of people that might be good on that one. And that's a weird one because of it being with a joint one with other counties, and I know they're really trying to get it up and running because they need to update bylaws and do a bunch of different things, but they can't do it until they have a full board. But I think they're getting closer, and it's not just, they're not waiting on our county, they're actually waiting on some of the other counties. Cause I think we have 2 representatives on there right now, we just have 1 more open slot.
yeah, it was, Jonas.
Yes. Yeah, so I actually have a couple people that I can reach out to about that one and see if they'd be willing to serve on that. I bet I can get you a couple letters for that one.
On the zoning board, there's one other person we stopped in your office. It was one day when you were closed, I guess.
Not just person that sent the letter.
So, no,
It's a different person.
so we do have other interest in that one, yeah.
Okay, they didn't leave a letter, so did they give you some letter?
What's that?
Did they leave a letter
Well, the office was closed that day.
when we were at training?
Right, yeah,
Maybe
so
let
I
them
will,
know they can email
Yeah,
it in
tell
too.
them,
They
tell
don't
them to
have to-
email me something
Okay.
that way.
Okay.
Something
okay,
in writing.
So.
I think it's just giving direction to staff to make sure it's getting circulated, and
Yeah.
we'll see for our next meeting if we have a little more interest in them.
Yes, just make sure that
Yeah,
they're on,
it's on the
and
main page still, so just if you'll pump it up.
are we putting them out on our Facebook page or anything? Are
Yeah,
we getting
I have
any,
them on there.
we getting any
I have,
views on that page?
I have occasionally getting messages about people who are comments on the post about people who are sharing it. Other than that, it doesn't really give me much of a count on each of the posts.
Okay.
We almost need to set up some automatic posts that just hit every day to get the algorithm to start recognizing that page is active and get things circulated a little bit better. I wonder if it's just people aren't seeing it, just select few.
And whoever gets notifications on that particular page are pretty much the only people who are seeing it, but there are quite a few people that do it, and most of them are from local. I mean, the vast majority are names I recognize.
Okay. Okay, we're just starting to work on that and get that built, so
Yeah.
it'll keep getting better.
Have some extra time, between now and your 10 o'clock. Obviously you can take public comment, but,
Yeah.
I wanted to see if we can talk about some of those 1041 regulations and get a little bit of direction so that I can get it to planning commission and start working it through the process.
Okay. All right, so now would probably be a good time to see if we have any comments from the public.
Good morning. I do not, Reagan and Bent County. Rose, do you feel like you might have those 1041s before our planned meeting next week? We don't have any other agenda items is why I ask.
What day is your meeting?
18th,
Next Wednesday.
At what time?
10
What
a.m.
time?
10 a.m.
Yeah, yes, I will make that work.
Okay, I'll let the guys know. Thank you.
Yes, and what we'll do, I'd like to do an agenda item, I can get you the language. So it'll be reviewing 1041 regulations, And then, we'll need to set the public hearing on the 1041 regulations, so that will be at the next meeting. And then we'll have to go through a formal process to publish in the paper and do all of those things, so I can work with you on that. But just I'll send you an email and we can just work through the language for the agenda so that we post it right, so that you all can set the public hearing and get that through the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay. So do we need to recess at this point too,
Did you
or
want?
just,
Just information,
Yeah,
discussion.
okay,
Did you wanna discuss that on? You're gonna wait till.
well, yeah, we can bring this up. We got our annual letter from, it's regarding the BOCC grant or allocation and our letter of support. And as normal, we got it on Tuesday.
It's Wednesday or Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday, I believe. And then today we got another email, or at least I did, that the contribution had been raised from $5,645 to $6,605. And so I guess this is one of those that come out of the sales tax. So my understanding, and I think probably you may have more information on it, but these are awarded every year, scholarships, and we've got, well, 11, something like that.
Well, I don't know, last year there was a number of Benton County residents that received scholarships.
Yeah.
Got none, but it was significant.
And these scholarships are for Benton County residents to Lamar Junior College. And so they have been doing some good, and I think this is probably at least it's been quite a while since we've had an increase in our contribution. It may be the first increase that we've had.
One.
So,
And what was it before?
it was $5,645. So, anyway. Do we
Well,
wanna,
right now, all they want to let us.
yeah, all they want right now is letter of support.
Yeah.
So. Probably, and they sent us a copy of last year's. So it would have to be typed up and all that good stuff, so.
So they are asking for this by Friday, is that correct?
There,
Because
yeah, the
that-
letter
that
is
deadline.
due tomorrow.
Yeah, so we probably could have Doug type it up and get it ready for 2026, and then he could reach out to each of the commissioners individually to get direction, and then we could ratify.
Yeah,
Yeah, or you can give direction, the three of you can give direction for Doug to prepare the letter and then. The signature. part, you
then we will sign it, or-
Yeah,
so,
And then we'll put in for application.
get that?
I did get that.
Did you have the email as well, or do we need to forward it?
I believe I have an email as well. I certainly have the one that they increased the pay, okay, so I.
Okay.
And that
Yeah,
one
it's
is
got,
Yeah, it was
yeah, it's
back
got
to
the
that
same-
one.
the identical letter, so.
Yeah, it's, actually, it says due Friday, the 13th.
So the
Why?
one.
10 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And it's COSI.
Yes.
COSI, yes. Yep, that's the one. So, anyway.
I have to do that today.
Uh,
This is the email.
No. Okay, so we got, they'll make that decisions.
Okay, and if we have any other, that covered everything that I had. I believe that needs an addition. Oh, and well, we'll have to do that next week on accepting the resignation.
Yeah, we need to put it on the next agenda then.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she could post an opening, could she not?
Not until you
No,
accept the
not until after
resignation.
it's been accepted, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And I just wanna remind you, I'm closing my office at 3 tomorrow,
Mhm.
and then we won't be open to the public again until Thursday,
you will be,
hopefully,
yeah,
if the computer works.
you will be
Yeah.
open on Thursday.
Yes, and we will be here, we just.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure
Everything
I
works right,
got it straight with me.
yeah, I'll be up there, you can come in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good reminder, and I know we've been posting that everywhere to try to make sure everybody knows too.
Facebook notices page on our website, on our calendar,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to put it out as many places as I can
Well,
possibly.
and it's all the clerk's office in the entire state because of this update that this is happening to.
well, and driver's license, and, yeah,
Yeah,
So,
I'm really hoping that they'll get this update in and it'll go smoothly for you.
well,
I know. It's
I didn't really
It's always a
have
stress.
that, but,
a stressful time when technology is being messed with.
well, they already sent a thing out. That there's an issue, that you can't do these transactions together, you have to do them separately,
Oh.
and collect the money, so, yeah, it already doesn't work in anything about it.
Your next meeting is on the 19th.
20,
The 26th.
yes,
Yes.
that's right, we do not have one next week.
So we put our deadline straight.
Yes. Yeah, so deadline for stuff would be the 17th. Because that way final review would be by the 20th, is that correct?
Yeah, if we can have it. Yeah, the 17th would be great.
17th should be final for anything that's gonna be on it. And then if tweaking needs to happen, it can happen between the 17th and the 20th, right?
Yeah.
Make sure I'm understanding that right.
I know, sending out an email to all the department heads, noting that if they wanted to be on the agenda, we could find out. But you bet, each meeting, we should have less.
We should. Okay.
No, it just came to me that if they raised our contribution, they more than likely raise the total amount available. It would make sense anyway.
That's what I would assume happened.
And we don't have, I don't think we have the number that it has been raised, the total number, so,
Oh, I bet we could reach out to
yeah,
Amy and she would let us know that.
yep. So. You wanna do that, Doug, and reach out to Amy and find out if that 22,800 number has changed?
I will,
Whatever.
22, yeah. If they increased,
The award amount.
the award.
Yeah. So that we can get that in the letter also,
Yeah, that would be a good thing to add into it.
yeah.
also, can I ask? We're not doing anything with the building, right? The shop,
No, not at this time, we are not. The old, you're talking about the old one?
Because I have to say where my Dropbox is. So,
Yeah, no, at this time, we are just retaining it for road and bridge. They've said that they can utilize it, and so we,
okay,
with everything else that we've been working on, we haven't worked through putting that out to see if it's even worth selling or not, so we're just keeping it and utilizing it internally right now.
that's need to know before I do my plan.
Yes, so no, nothing's changing with your boxes.
Thank you.
So.
Not normal that we give ourselves so much extra time. Usually we are rushing to make sure we're ready for.
I can start asking you some of my 1041
You
questions.
can, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to work through some of that.
Do you all need to pull it up? Do you want me to resend it? Do we need?
What was the date? Because I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, and I know it's in here.
So I sent it to you all on January 4th. And Reagan, I'll get you a copy of all of this once they answer my questions. Everything's fine. Wonderful. I can just resend it to all of you and top of your list.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so which one are we looking at first?
Okay, so the first thing I need direction on will be, looks like the last document, which is the Bank County memo on wind and solar fees.
Mm-hmm.
Start there.
Perfect. You guys need it sent to you?
Just a second here. I just need to get a better filing system.
And this is just direction. There's no decisions made. I'll go through planning commission, they'll weigh in, and then it'll come back to you all for public hearing. Final decisions.
Okay.
But I just need to put some stuff in there and I
Yeah.
can't do it without
Yeah.
knowing what you guys are thinking.
Sure. Yeah, and I remember we talked about this at one of our previous work sessions.
I'll let
So
you
the
guys
last
send it.
one.
Yeah, it should be memo.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not ready. You all have a sales and use tax.
Yeah.
How much is that?
1%.
Oh, yeah. I figured it out with this.
Do you want me to talk it through a bit?
When was that?
January 4th is what I said.
Oh,
Do you need me to resend it?
I'm way off.
There's like quite a few documents.
There's a lot of documents. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't need a ton of direction. Most of
Yeah.
it was just so you can all see it, but I do need a couple of direction points.
Yeah.
You want me to resend it though? Oh, you've got it. Okay. Okay, so this was a comparison of wind and solar fees in eastern Colorado, just so that you all can get a sense. I also flagged the Kiowa case, where they were sued for having excessive 1041 fees. And so whatever decisions you make, my advice is based on that case, that you choose to either have a permit fee or an impact fee, but don't have both. It's just too excessive. Yeah. And so you can look at the projects based on acreage, you can do it as a flat fee. And so as with all the 1041 regulations, the goal is that all of the county's expenses are covered, so you all are not out any expenses, whether that's legal, staff review, all of that. And so we want to make sure that you have a permit fee and an application fee that covers those things. And then you, in addition, will have that 1% sales tax on materials. Although we can talk about components and what the state's done and what they leave to the counties, but let's hold that conversation for a minute. So I don't know if you all want to do an application fee and a permit fee. If you want to do it based on acreage or not. Like I said, I gave you a couple of examples. Some do it based on the wattage. I generally think, and in full disclosure, I drafted Prowers County's regulations on wind and solar. I think flat is generally the easiest, but really that's all up to you.
Yeah, and I know in that work session, when we were looking through these examples, we really like the simplicity of that to keep it. And it's just, it makes it really easy. Everybody knows exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
And there is no surprises and
Yeah.
uncertainty.
And I also have a provision that if we come to a point where we need additional consultants outside, that, you know, with the consent of the applicant, we can work on additional fees. But for them, at least they know what they're coming into and what they need to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of these looked a little bit complicated and we just thought, wow, that seems like overkill and just. It leaves a lot to be unknown. But we really did like the simplicity of Prowers County, and it was just super clear cut and making sure that the county is being covered.
There you go.
So what do you think?
I think Prowers County is, like you said, the simplest and it's cut and dried, and solar and wind are the same. And that would probably be my first choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. So. That way we.
Rose, I had a quick question. Does anybody ever do an application fee and then not the permit? Do they have to be separate things, or could we just have one?
The timing of it is different. So normally the application fee is submitted with the permit. And then later will come all the other fees. So when I send it to you, I think it'll make more sense when you look at the timing of it. But generally, just to start review, we want to make sure we're covering staff time and legal time.
Okay.
And then if they wind up not applying, then they've lost that 2,500, but we don't have to worry about trying to refund that money. So when you see it, it'll make more sense, I think, and we can talk through all of that at Planning Commission as well. All right, so the next document I want you to look at, please, is the wind and solar sales and use tax information. This came from the state. It looks like maybe the 5th document, the PDF. Yes. Yep. And so the question on this, you have your sales and use tax. The state has exempted from sales tax at the state level components for renewable energy. So like the wind turbines and the trackers and the equipment and inverters and towers. They leave it up to local governments as to whether they also want to waive all, some, or none of their local sales and use tax for renewable energy components. And so I just need to know if you do, if just direction, we'll have more conversations, but if you think you might want to do an exemption for sales and use tax or not. I will also throw out that none of your surrounding counties do it.
I was gonna say, my first
Yeah.
reaction.
I don't know that we can afford to exit.
So the state exempts farm equipment, we charge
That's good to
sales
know.
tax on it.
Right,
So
thank you. That's
So
very
we would
helpful
be
to know.
consistent that way.
Yeah, that's right. Well, enough, I don't like picking out specific things and
Yeah.
treating them differently than others. I really do like keeping it straight across the board.
Government picking winners and losers.
Yeah, that's kind of how it feels, right?
Yeah.
and I think for the most part, we don't exempt anything from our sales use tax.
Okay.
Okay, well, that's easy. Okay, so then let's pull up the wind and solar regulations. And I have to align this with your ag districts. I wanted you to see what others do. Just so that you can think through it, but I'll have to go through your code and align the actual districts. Or zoning districts, because the zoning districts. Okay, so we'll start by with wind. Okay, so non-commercial use of wind, so someone decides for their own personal use, they put a wind tower on their property. Do you want it as a use by right? So don't need a special use permit, don't go through a 1041 process. It's only for their own personal consumption. Do you want that to be a use by right?
I would prefer that.
Yeah, it's especially people that are actually engaged in agriculture.
Yeah.
Having a tough time without a lot of extra.
I want to be really careful about not over regulating our constituents with what they do on their own personal private property. This isn't like. This process is not meant for the individual people. It is meant for big giant companies and stuff that are coming into our county. So I definitely do not want to nickel and dime our constituents with all of that.
Bill, what do you think?
I don't know.
That's fine.
That's not a very good answer, is it?
No, that's fine.
I kind of have to agree with Jennifer. Yeah, I think that we have to not overregulate our constituents. That's just the way it is.
Okay. And then, do we want them, again, I have to align these, but you want it in agricultural area, residential area, kind of your commercial areas? Do you want them in all of those? I normally, don't allow them in floodplains or airport overlay districts. Airport overlay districts are so complicated with all the FAA regulations, and floodplain is a floodplain.
Yeah.
I try to do very little in floodplains,
Sure.
but that's not my call, that's your call. I'm just saying generally, that's what we do. Yeah, so if you're okay with that, I at least draft it that way. You can always change your mind. Then you can think on all of these things. I need something to put in front of planning commission to talk about.
No, I think that's a good starting point.
Okay. And then I think your 1041 regulations trigger at 10 acres, right? No,
Okay, I don't remember what the acreage was. I have to look it up.
I'll double check that. So I have 5 in here requires a 1041 permit, but let me double check so that we can align. You can always do 5 acres. Or if you want to trigger at 10, that's fine. So I'll get back to you on that part. But this is commercial use on properties that are under 5 acres. The way I wrote it right now for discussion, would be a use by special review, so a special use permit. And not trigger a 1041. And this is commercial, so they're putting wind turbines on, and then they're selling the energy. And so that would be in all of those same areas, agriculture, residential, and then commercial. Not airport overlay districts, not floodplain. At least the way I wrote it, you all can give me different direction, but that's the way I wrote it. And then anything over 5 acres would require both a 1041 permit and a special use permit. So that's the way I've got it for discussion.
Yeah.
There are some companies that would prefer just one process, not a 1041, like do a 1041 but not do a special use permit process. I still I think they're just different elements of both that need to be considered. And so I run them parallel, so you don't have to have 2 sets of public hearings. You can do it all in the same public, technically it's one public hearing and then a separate one, but we can do it all concurrently at the same time and notice it all the same. But there are some other regulations that I would put in a special use permit that I wouldn't do in a 1041 and vice versa. So I think you'll probably hear feedback as you go through this process. The companies would prefer one. I'm still doing that as two, but we'll take direction from all of you. So something I think about. And then we talked about the fees. And then. Okay, setbacks. So we could do setbacks from a resident. So this is the person whose property it is going to be on, the landowner the property is going to be on. We have setbacks, it can be anywhere between 750, generally what I've seen in eastern Colorado. Anywhere between 750 or 1,000 feet for setbacks from the home that is participating. Do you have a preference as to what that setback looks like? Or what number you'd like to pick?
And keeping it consistent with the surrounding counties and how they do it would be helpful.
Okay. And I'll look, they're all kind of a little bit different, just depending on the commissioners and their feelings sometimes about those setbacks. Now, know that for all these setbacks, they can be waived by an agreement between the company and the landowner. All right, so are there particular counties that you would like me to look at and see?
I'm trying to figure out who has a lot of wind and solar already that we kind of learned from them going through the process and what worked and what didn't work.
So a lot of this was taken from Lincoln County. They have quite a bit of Lincoln County. Lincoln has quite a bit of wind. There's a couple here and there, but Lincoln's the one that comes to mind on wind. So I can take a look and get back to you on that.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing what they've got in place.
There may be ones that's been in place a little longer than the other ones.
Mhm.
They'll make the home from the mistakes, I guess, will change things.
For sure. Okay, I will look at that. I'll look at that. So a non-occupied structure or a public road, I have between 500 and 1,000 feet.
Mhm.
I'll get back to you on what Lincoln does, and I'll tell you what the other counties, at least that we work with in the region are.
Okay.
Just so that you know, and then you can kind of make a decision based on that when that time comes as we go through this process. Noise, I think, is pretty consistent, 60 decibels from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then 55 decibels, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. The way I wrote it, to just be a little bit more business friendly, I wrote it so that we do not require a third party noise study. So if someone makes a complaint, they can do the company can do an internal study. There are some counties that require that third party noise study. So it's up to you all if you want to require it, or if you will allow them to do an internal when there's a complaint.
If we allow, go ahead.
Well, all I'm looking at is that, boy, 60 decibels and 55 decibels is pretty darn quiet.
They actually, with the new technology, and I know we have somebody from the wind industry, with the new technology, I think the noise element has probably decreased over the years as the technology's increased. Okay. And so I think that's standard. If you want me to change something, let me know. If you want to require third-party noise study, let me know, and I will write that down there.
If we didn't have that required and they did an internal study and the person complaining had a reason to say, I don't think this is accurate, I want somebody else, could we still always, if need be, bring a third party in? I hate to require it when I just didn't know what that would look like.
I don't have it written this way, but I can do discretion by the board. Okay. In the permit.
I mean, if you just have somebody that's adamant that they think that when they're checking it out to see where it's at, they're not coming back with accurate numbers and they're just certain that they're not. They have their own little, well, I tested it on my phone tells me it's this.
Right.
And is there a standardized distance from one of these towers?
So we have built in.
Close. You know, because it makes a whole lot of difference how close you are
So it's the property line of the
Oh,
adjacent
okay.
landowner.
All right.
Yeah. And again, these can be waived, so if the landowner is like, nope, I like it noisy, or the wind puts me to sleep. Then, you know, they can use those provisions. But this is if somebody were to complain, right? And hopefully they're trying to resolve it with the company, right, before it even gets to us, or it ends up to you all, but there are those times, right? So, something to think about. And, you know, we were talking about putting this before planning commission next week. We can also, if you all wanna have like a follow-up conversation, we could do that before we bring it to planning commission, so. And we could probably, you know, just schedule a quick work session, you know, in between or at your next meeting. So we wanna make sure we get it right, we wanna be,
Yeah.
obviously, you all wanna be business friendly, and so, and this is a lot of information to bring. So that's why I wanted to at least start those conversations, but I also don't wanna rush it through the process. I can also bring this to planning commission, not set a public hearing, and just have a conversation with them. And then we can have some feedback, that way as well, so that might be helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't wanna rush it
No,
either.
but I like the idea of getting planning commission's eyes on it and
Okay.
let them start asking some of their questions and.
So Reagan, we won't do a notice to set the public hearing, we'll just do it as a workshop on the regulations and then get some feedback from planning commission, and we'll bring it back to commissioners, and then we'll bring it back to planning commission, then we'll set the hearing. Okay. I know you're gonna be starting
Yeah.
your next in a few minutes, so we can pause if you'd like. Give you guys a few minutes.
Yeah, I think that would be.
Okay. And then we can go back to.
Okay,
Perfect,
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes. How are you?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Carl, yeah, good to see you. Yeah. Steven, how's everybody?
Right, how are you?
Good, good.
So far, so good.
All right,
Yeah, we're just gonna get started.
it's a good day. Hopefully we get rain. That's all I can hope for.
Earlier in the week, had two options or two possibilities of rain. I think it was Thursday and Friday, and now it's moved to Saturday according to the phone. Right, weather cap that I get, yeah. The one that changes every 15 minutes.
Like everyone you look at is gonna say something different anyway.
Yeah, I haven't looked today, so who knows?
We heard that amounts too. Yeah. We heard that the podcast was saying, who was that was saying that we're going towards hopefully. I think Brian Bless is pretty bullish. Late summer, El Nino. El Nino, late summer or?
I think middle to late time, what I think is supposed to turn in.
May, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
It better turn, or we're in deep trouble.
That's what I'm worried about too, because there's so many trees that are.
One thing I noticed was according to mine, next Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday is supposed to be very windy. So
Of course, they never get.
March is coming early.
They never get that one wrong with the wind, for sure.
Yeah.
But down here, that's the one constant for sure, I would say.
Yeah.
You off the record?
I think we are off the record. I don't know.
Yeah, we got a couple little bookkeeping for things to take care of here, then as the attorney gets back, and you're welcome, I guess, to.
She said house it goes over there.
I just don't wanna be in the way.
It's the camera follows.
Yeah, we're-
so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
We're still in the open meeting. You said there in a minute.
Yeah, just have 4 minutes before we need to start the meeting.
Won't ring all day except when the meeting or recording.
I understand how that works. That's Murphy's Law.
Yeah, exactly.
Jimmy,
No, I'm just trying to I'm not trying to wall people, that's all. I'm not way.
you brought a few handouts, we killed a couple trees. That's it.
Look. I did.
Thank you. There's one more look. See, I'm here empty today, it's not working for that's the key.
Just so that we can get clear on this side, we're gonna recess, not adjourn your board of county commissioner meeting, so we can go back, we've got executive sessions and things that we have to do. So they'll recess, they'll do motion, and then they'll open up, you'll convene as the board of equalization.
Mhm.
Then you'll have your hearing, do you have a public hearing sheet?
The sign and no.
Yeah, but I would have everybody sign in. And so you'll have a record of who's at the hearing. And then. Start it. Just. I don't see the assessor. The assessor's not there yet, but.
I just texted you.
Okay, but hopefully he's coming out. Okay, so at this point, at least, I want you to recess, like, entertain a motion to recess the board of commissioners meeting.
There you go.
And then take a vote on that.
So I would motion. Yep, I would motion that we read, that's our board of commissioners.
Second. Been moved and seconded to recess the Board of Commissioners meeting at this time. 10 a.m. And
We'll just give the assessor 1 second to come down, and then we will open the board of equalization.
all those in favor, recess. Any opposed? Motion carried. We are now recessed.
Now the assessor's here, I would say let's open up the board of,
Are you?
the board of equalization.
Board of Equalization. And it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion to. Go into. Board of Equalization.
I would move that we convene the board of equalization.
Second. Been moved and seconded to. Go into a meeting for the. For the Board of Equalization. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. You Guy and Amanda need to sign the sheet.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So just to remind the board of the process, we don't do these very often, but normally the assessor would present how he arrived at the assessed value. Then we'll give the property owners the opportunity to respond. They've got, so that Linda knows, some exhibits they're gonna enter into the record. So we'll take those and enter those into the record. And then you can ask questions to both the assessor, to the property owner, and then have conversations. And then I think, I just have to take a look at the notice, but when you all are ready, if you're ready to stay, we'll I'll give you potential for a couple of different motions that you all can consider. And then you need to make the decision today. Did we have one making the decision today? You notice, okay. Or if you all need some time to digest it, you can come back with a decision. So, there are a couple of different options for you all. That's a lot of information at the beginning, so I just want to walk it all with you and then you can ask me questions. All right, so
So this time we open the floor to the assessor.
and we should probably say who the property owner is, for the record for this public hearing. Do you have a copy of the notice? So. Let's say Arkansas.
Right. And this meeting is to
Arkansas River.
well, promote discussion or
Hearing.
hearing for Ark River Farms, 1416th Street, Suite 320, Denver, Colorado.
And then if you want to call the assessor.
Okay, so at this time, Guy, do you have anything?
That would be, my understanding is
Do you want to
that
call him up?
Yeah, you come up here.
I'm gonna be talking away from everybody, yeah. Okay. My understanding is that, Park River Farms isn't happy with the valuation I provided on land that they have dried up and we have ag land in Colorado is done by income to the landowner by renting. And there's specifications, we have to go by that with what's allowed with expenses and income. Land is dried up, I have put on as dry farm according to the ARLs that I follow doing my job. Pretty much all I have to say about it.
Okay,
Any questions?
yeah, any questions?
I have questions for the assessor whenever you all think that's appropriate to insert it.
I think, Mr. Petrie, what we'll do is we'll have the commissioners ask questions of the assessor. We'll have you present your case, and then when you're presenting your case, also have the ability to ask the assessor questions.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so
What's the acreage that we're
Or,
looking at
oh,
here?
a lot of different acres. And a lot of these acres have been sold to the city of Colorado Springs. And I've done a bunch of abatements for Ark River Farms. I've done abatements to city of Colorado Springs, because as soon as they own the property, it goes exempt and yeah, a lot of acres. I haven't got the total acreage in front of me.
Do you know what the difference is between the assessed value that you've done and what they are thinking it should be?
No, they haven't ever stated a value. I was told there was a verbal agreement with an attorney and Mr. Long when he was a commissioner. Mr. Long denies that pretty vehemently. He is at a doctor's appointment today, or he would be here in person.
And that was just a verbal, no documentation.
That Mr. Long said never happened.
So you're just stating that you have the land that is per state statute for dry up land is how you're assessing it.
It's, we have rules for everything we do.
for assessing property. We assess, residential property only on the market approach. We assess commercial property on market income. And ag land is done specifically by ARL standards, which is the rules that we have to follow.
Okay, and so those are the standards that you used in assessing
Yeah.
this land?
So, any other questions?
Let me organize first, if I may. My name is Drew Petrie. I represent Arkansas River Farms. How I propose to proceed, so I'm throwing that out for consideration by you all, is I have prepared binders with the maximum amount of stuff I want people to refer to. I'm not saying I'll necessarily get to all of it. I have one binder for each of the commissioners. I have one for the county attorney. I have one for the clerk to be the official set, as it were, to be submitted to the Board of Equalization. So I'd like to start by handing out those materials, if that's okay.
No reason not to. Give me the information.
Excuse my reach. Sorry, I should have gone ladies first. My mother's very. Thanks, Brad.
Oh, okay.
You confused the melody.
That's you guys. I don't know. Thank you. And in fairness, just so you all know, there are some materials in there that are highlighted, they came to me highlighted that way. There are in there also copies of statutes. I have highlighted those just because if we look at them, they're a bit of a muddle to wade through. And so I thought I'd help people's eyes out and actually highlight things that we might talk about. So that's what you have. There's also an index on the front there, which will help you steer through the tabs. If you want to use it. Do you need one?
Yeah. If he wants to use it, he can.
There, I give you. Oh, you ain't got mine. I'm using that one.
What I'd like to do is speak with you for probably 7 to 10 minutes. Obviously, answer any questions that you have. And then I will ask some questions for the assessor. That's acceptable to the group.
Reasonable.
I'll start out by sort of laying the groundwork here. We are here mindful of what the Colorado legislature has said should be happening with respect to taxes. And I'm referring in particular to the statute, which is found at 39-1-101.5, which talks about, and I'll quote what the legislature said, the owners of real and personal property should be accorded the respect and courtesy which they deserve and should be provided such services which are necessary to assist them in complying with the property tax laws of this state. And as a taxpayer in this county, of course, we view that as reciprocal. We want to treat you with respect and courtesy and in our dealings with you. That's how we're coming to you today to talk to you about these issues. I need to advise you of some legal, what we believe are legal insufficiencies in the proceedings today. And I should point out that when we agreed to participate in the hearing today, we did so without waiving any of our rights and defenses, and likewise, the county reserved all of its rights and defenses. So this is in lawyer speak, all done without prejudice, if you'll forgive me for using that lawyer term. So we received two types of notices. The first is tab 1 in your binder, which I'm sure you've all seen before. And that notices this meeting is to take place pursuant to the Colorado Revised Statutes 39-8-104. And then we also received, and it's in tab 2, a letter from the clerk dated January 30th of 2026. The meeting notice, tab 1, talks about this being a meeting to review the assessment roll of all taxable property by the county assessor and to hear appeals from determination of the assessor. The letter says that the purpose of the hearing is to hold a hearing on your valuation for assessment. And I'll tell you right out of the blocks that that's not what 39-8-104 provides. The notices that we've been provided don't make any reference to the Board of Equalization. They don't make any reference to our pending petition for abatement, which, because the taxes have already been paid, is a petition for a refund of taxes. The statute under which this meeting has been called has 3 operative provisions. I won't go through them right now in detail unless you all want me to, but the bottom line is that none of them apply to the proceeding that's before you today. So this proceeding has been misnoticed and is not appropriate to proceed. I also need to point out that underneath the statute, the Board of Equalization is to meet between July 1st and August 5th of each year. And in 2023, you all met in August. In 2024, you all met in August. In 2025, you all met in August. So this meeting is both off cycle and outside of the appropriate bounds for which the Colorado legislature has directed boards of equalization are supposed to meet. So this is not really the appropriate forum, both jurisdictionally and because of the notice, to address our petition for abatement. I'm going to talk about it anyways, so that we have everything on the table in front of you, but it's all subject to those reservations. As we understand the assessor's position will be, is that because these abatements that we've asked for and the assessor has addressed are under $10,000 per parcel or tract or farm, depending on how you want to label each thing, that the assessor has authority to address that under both the Colorado statute 39-1-113 sub 1.5 and I should say, the Board of County Commissioners resolution number 2024-12. And what both the resolution refers to the statute and they parallel each other is that delegates essentially to the assessor the ability to address abatements if they are less than $10,000 per parcel. But what it says is the assessor is authorized to settle amounts under $10,000 by written mutual agreement. If the assessor cannot settle by written mutual agreement, everything reverts back to the other part of the statute that says that would govern if it was over $10,000. So the issue we face today is that there is no written mutual agreement on our abatement. That absence of an agreement divests the assessor of any ability to address our petition for abatement. The wrinkle that pops up here, and I use wrinkle loosely, is the treasurer has already paid us the abatement. That's in tab 23. You'll see in that tab, there are 2 checks from the county to ARF, Arkansas Farms, In a total sum, and I'm rounding off cents, $18,602. There is no record that the assessor notified the Board of County Commissioners that he had determined there was an error. There is no record that the treasurer notified the Board of County Commissioners that she had noticed that there was an error and had paid abatements based on the errors that had been found. There has been no Board of County Commissioners hearing or determination on addressing our petition for abatement. So, and the structure is that when there is an abatement or refund, in our case, a refund, I use the terms interchangeably, forgive me, they're called petitions for abatement. That is, if you haven't paid the taxes, they're still called petitions for abatement, but seeking a refund if you've already paid them. We have already paid the taxes. But the structure is that an abatement or refund, and I'll quote from the statute, must be payable at such time as determined by the Board of County Commissioners after consultation with affected taxing entities, but no later than, and it goes on to say, no later than the payment of property taxes for the property tax year in which the final determination was made. As I said, there's been no Board of County Commissioner determination about what the appropriate time for payment is, and no record of any consultation with the affected taxing entities. Because of course the taxes have been collected, they've been distributed to school districts, sheriffs, et cetera, et cetera. And if there's an abatement, everything essentially unwinds pro rata to how it was distributed. The statute requires that the petition for abatement be addressed within 6 months of when it was filed. We filed our petition for abatement December 15 of 2023. Neither the assessor or Board of County Commissioners addressed it within 6 months. What we'll show you is that we tried repeatedly to get somebody to focus on this. We're trying to be good citizens, trying to work with the county, and we kept saying, please focus on the abatement, the petition that we've had. And we got a bunch of, I was going to say excuses, I'll say reasons back why the assessor couldn't address it in a timely fashion. But the bottom line is that our requests for refunds were not addressed for the first time until the fall of 2025, which is also a problem under the statute. So even though we don't believe this meeting is properly constituted to address the abatement, because it shouldn't be in front of the Board of Equalization. And even though there are all these other issues that I've talked about, I am going to address the abatement that we are seeking, just so everybody knows where we're coming from.
So Mr. Petrie, if I can just stop you
course.
for a second. So I guess if you could just let us know what it is that don't want to hold a Board of Equalization hearing, obviously an error. And if you all are saying you're going to contest the Board of Equalization hearing, then I guess I'm just trying to figure out, are we holding this hearing today or not? Or you just want to talk to the commissioners? I'm trying to figure out what it is that I will then advise them. Are they making decisions? Do you want us to go back and look through everything? I mean, tell me what it is that you're looking for today.
I don't think that the Board of Equalization has statutory authority to address our petition for abatement.
Okay.
I don't believe that the Board of Equalization has been properly put on notice and constituted to address the valuation concerns that were first raised in February of 2023. Recognizing that, not seeking today a decision, because I don't think you have the jurisdiction to enter any decision today. All of that said, because we want to play fair, as it were, we play in an adverse way, I think it would behoove all of us on the record to explain to you what our position is about what our gripes are concerning how we've been taxed. And call that an informational session perhaps for the Board of Equalization. And of course, because it is the Board of Equalization has the same members as the Board of County Commissioners, it is informational also to the commissioners.
So if you think it's proper, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to proceed as far as if they continue to sit as the Board of Equalization, if this Board of Equalization hearing is an error, you're saying that it is, then what I'd like to do is adjourn the Board of Equalization hearing, put them back into their Board of County Commissioner meeting, if you think that's the more appropriate. I know they're the same people, but for the record, I'm trying to figure out, do we stay as the Board of Equalization? Or do you want to address this to the commissioners and for informational purposes in a Board of County Commissioner meeting?
I hesitate because it's not an easy path.
I understand.
Certainly, the Board of Equalization doesn't have, we believe, doesn't have the jurisdiction, and under the statute under which this is noticed, they can't act on a petition for abatement. So perhaps it is wiser to adjourn the Board of Equalization and reconstitute as the Board of County Commissioners. But in fairness, just so nobody thinks I'm trying to pull a fast one, I'm also going to have objections to whether the Board of County Commissioners has jurisdiction to proceed today. But nonetheless, if the information is better received in that year rather than the other year, I think it might make sense to adjourn and reconstitute.
So they're not making any decisions. So I think an informational meeting to talk to the county commissioners is appropriate. And they're not making any decisions, so I don't have any action items, so they're not gonna be making any decisions regardless. So I think if the Board of Equalization is improper, my preference would be that we adjourn the Board of Equalization, because if we find out later that it should have been the Board of Equalization, we'll renotice it and then reconstitute a hearing. So I would adjourn the Board of Equalization. We're in recess, they will reconvene, and then they can talk to their constituents like we normally talk to constituents. You can provide the information, and then you and I can kind of decide where we go from here separately, or you can tell the commissioners what it is you're asking for. But I do think that's probably more proper. If you don't believe the Board of Equalization is the proper authority at this point, I would say let's just adjourn it. And then constituents talk to the Board of County Commissioners all the time. You can provide your information in that.
That's fine.
Okay, so commissioners, what I would like then, if you're okay with it, is to adjourn the Board of Equalization hearings and reconvene the Board of County Commissioner hearing. And then I guess more of a public comment, informational discussion, have and not limited obviously to time, allow your constituents to talk to you about what their concerns are, and then we can figure out the path forward. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to avoid court if we can.
But I also, because we are switching to a little bit of a different venue, as it were, I'd like not to excuse the assessor, who has a vital role to play in the information here. And he wouldn't necessarily need to attend Board of County Commissioners meeting, whereas he would need to attend the Board of Equalization.
Absolutely, and I think it's basically up to the county commissioners if they want to talk to the assessor and ask questions. And I don't know that anybody's got anything to hide. I think we all just want to try to find out what the resolution is. So but that's fine. I'm not worried about that.
Thank you.
Okay,
So
motion to
I should
adjourn.
adjourn the Board of Equalization meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the Board of Equalization meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. At this time, we would reconvene our Board of Commissioners meeting. Do I have a motion?
I move we reconvene the commissioner meeting.
I'll second.
Been moved to reconvene the Commissioner meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We are now in the Board of Commissioners meeting.
One quick question, if I could, real quick. I'm curious, you don't believe that the Board of Equalization has the authority to make a decision? You don't believe the county commissioners have the authority to? Who do you believe does have the authority to help resolve this?
The court. That's why we brought the suit. May the problem is, in plain speak, is the processes have both been so messed up, whether it's the Board of Equalization path or the Board of County Commissioners path, that we no longer have our statutory remedies available. And that's why we jumped into court. So that's why I think ultimately the resolution lies, but obviously you have your own lawyer and you know, address it with counsel, but that's our view of it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I guess this time you can continue with your informational.
Okay, thank you. At the risk of repeating things that you already know, where we start with this is essentially the four categories on which properties are evaluated. And going from best, as it were, to worst, it would be, or I should say, by highest valuation, it would be irrigated land. And then next down would be dry land farm land. Third down would be, and I may be skipping some wiggle room in the middle, but broad categories. Third one down would be grass or grazing land. And the fourth is a category that the state of Colorado has established, is they call it other. But it is also sometimes referred to as waste land. So those are the four broad categories on the continuum evaluation that we look at in terms of assessing our property and what's going on. But the other thing we look at is what happened when ARF was issued the 1041 permit, which of course requires us to go back into the time frame of 17 when it was being discussed and 18 when it was issued. And I brought the materials in and we can wade through it if you'd like, but at bottom, what happened was the consultant to the county in 1718 told the county that from his view, the value of all of the land, once it was dried up, was other or waste. It would have no meaningful economic purpose going forward. And based on that determination, the county then, as you all know from the 1041 permit, put on ARF the obligation to post an economic mitigation security, which essentially said, you're taking something away from the county of value to our tax base. And so we're going to require you to either put in place, I'll use the term very loosely, replacement economic value to the county, or if you don't do that, we'll have a bond posted or we'll have money out there that will make up to the county for the lost property tax revenues. The loss being from irrigated farmland to other/waste. That was how things started in 2018. And that, of course, was of value to the county because with the greater drop in valuation, it allowed the county to impose a higher bond to offset the loss. If we then fast forward for the 22, 23, 24 years that we're concerned with, what happens now is when, I have to use my hands, sorry. So if we look at that continuum again, highest to lowest, when it is of value to the county to get an offsetting bond, you pick the widest possible spread from irrigated all the way down to waste. Now, the flip side, when we get to the point where we've already paid our taxes and you have to do a refund, obviously, if you can shrink that gap, you have less money that we can claim to be entitled to as a refund. So now the same properties, nothing's changed, are now being valued as dryland farm, some of them perhaps grass, but largely dryland farm as compared to irrigated. And therefore our refund amount has shrunk, quite simply. And that's bottom line, where our gripe is with the valuations.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong, but are all of those fields already categorized as dry land farm in the 1041 permit?
Not in the 1041 permit, no. They're really,
Everything that we get have the list of all of them, and it has them categorized as if they're being re-vegged or if they're dry land, and they have all the different categories, so I'm just.
Yeah,
I've
so,
never heard the wasteland part before, I've always heard the other ones, so I'm just.
so they've always been, so when we did our assessment back when we did the permit, we,
Just put your name on the record.
oh yeah,
so that-
Carl Knight was, our representative. Just give you guys a little history. We had BBC come in and do an economic report that did each, so we had some dry land, we had some that was just dried up ground, which we were calling pasture. And then we had some that was called waste, which was yards and roads and different things, ditches, that kind of stuff. And so BBC broke it down into all three different categories. And then Fred Crowley got hired by the county as their expert, and he projected it all as waste ground and said, this is gonna be the impact. And so the two real beefs that we've got and that we've been given all different things, and we said, hey, we'll just leave it as irrigated, but they wanted the economic mitigation. The county at the time, and so they negotiated to keep it as waste ground, so we would put up the letter of credit and have that amount of economic mitigation that we had to provide to the county, which we did, and we got it signed off, but they kept our taxes up there that whole time, and then bad on me, but I didn't realize it until 2023, but they billed us so the county took money basically from for irrigated farms until we complained in 2023. So we had 5 years of that, and then we asked for the abatement, and then we've gone through a number of iterations, where the assessor originally agreed on pasture ground, and I typed Aaron, I was just like, okay, let's just not fight it, and then gives us some new number after we agreed on that number, and so, I don't know who's on first, and the county just keeps changing their mind, whichever's better for them, and so at some point, I think we gotta hold the county accountable for this, so that's where we're at.
let me put some flesh on that to help put a little more meat on that skeleton that you've given quite accurately. First of all, the Crowley report is in your binder. It is tab 15. And in particular, if you look at pages 3, 5, and 7, it's a PowerPoint that the county's consultant prepared. And on 3, 5, and 7, you'll see each time he talks about how properties work. That's dried out. That's not his words, but that's
So it's no longer irrigated,
correct.
that's all it says, it doesn't say anything about worthless.
Yes, if you keep looking at 3, 5, and 7, you'll see it's down as other or waste.
And this is a PowerPoint from
This is from Crowley, the consultant for the Board of County. This is, if you look at the very first page, you'll see it's back in the 17.
yeah, I've never heard that name.
There's-
And I've never agreed to any grass or anything else, never even talked to you.
Thanks. So, as I said, I'll put some flesh on what Carl said. When you first noticed this was a problem, this was in February of 2023. And at that point in time, we submitted a letter saying, why is this being assessed as irrigated when it's dried up? And the letter said, we don't understand why the water shares are being listed on the assessment sheet as part of the property here because that was no longer the case. And in response to that letter in February of 2023, there was nothing. We got nothing back. We got nothing saying the assessor agrees, the assessor disagrees. What happened was, without notice to us, effective as of July 17 of 2023, the assessor went in and stripped out the water from the properties and revalued them mid-year as being something less than irrigated land. There was no, as I said, there was no notice as to what happened. And when we followed up to say, well, that's all well and good, what the assessor did was said, I shouldn't say he said as if these were his words. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But the position of the assessor was, we have fixed it prospectively, so it's fixed for the future. But the protest was, it's a 2022 valuation. We're challenging that. So if you fix it in 23, that doesn't address 22. So it's kind of, you've addressed half of what our issue is by, quote, fixing it going forward. When we were investigating this still in 2023, in December of 2023, we, as is permitted by statute, served a request. Please tell us what the basis for your valuation of these properties is. And it's as I said, a statutory process. There's a set time frame for a response. We got a timely response, but the response didn't address what we asked for. What we asked for under the statute is the data used by the assessor in determining the actual value of any property owned by a taxpayer. Of course, we're just referring to Harley, not anybody else. And what we instead got back was the calculations by which essentially the assessor had revalued the property effective in July of 2023 and broke it out by irrigated acres versus non-irrigated acres. So essentially handwritten calculations on the assessor sheet saying, this is what I did. Didn't talk anything about the basis for the valuation that we asked for. What that led to then was a series of communications. At that time, I was dealing with the previous county attorney, Mr. Schultz. And we had several things going on, so it was not an exclusive topic of communication. But among the topic of communications I was having with him was, hey, we have this request for information. It hasn't been answered. The information I got back, you'll see it's all in the binder in the communications I had with him, the email communications. And those are under tab. Our request for information is tab 10. The initial response from the assessor is tab 11. And then the email strings are tabs 12 and 13 if you want to read along with it as it were. But to summarize the email communications, where essentially the assessor is trying to get the levies figured out. And he will get to your questions once he's completed that task. And those series of communications went well into 2024 with no information ever having been provided. And we finally, as I said, started to get the information starting in the fall of 2025. What we have done is we have gone back and recrunched the numbers and said, if you bookend things, fair approach. You said it was other/waste when you wanted money from us. Now that you owe us money, it should still be other-waste. And we've made that calculation, and it's tab 25, the last one in your binder. And that runs through all of the numbers. Now, this is a new set of numbers. What Carl was alluding to is, we've been trying to be good citizens about this. And so we have gone back and forth with the assessor, saying, here's our calculation. Here's what we think we're owed. Here's the basis on which we come to a number. We then have had several conversations with the assessor, and there was a back and forth about what the number is. And the number was less than the roughly $80,000 here. There was a range between 60 and 40. Parties were discussing, wasn't agreed. It was just a back and forth about the numbers. We had thought that conceptually, rightly or wrongly, conceptually, $40,000 was there. It required us to make some concessions. It required the county to make some concessions, but we thought that was a number that might work for everyone. And again, we were thinking that was a common conception. I wouldn't go so far as say agreement, but a common view of what was going on. This was happening, as it were, in December of 2025. That's important because since we filed our petition for abatement mid-December of 2023, if we don't act on it by mid-December of 2025, our rights evaporate. And I kept saying on behalf of ARF, please, if we don't get resolution on this, we are going to have to sue to preserve our rights to the abatement, which is what we did. We ended up mid-December of 2025 bringing suit. But what drove the suit was, after the back and forth over all of the farms and what the values might be and how they added up, and we got to this conceptual number that we thought was acceptable to all of $40,000, we got 2 checks for $18,000. They're in the binder. No explanation, no denial of our petition for abatement, no discussion formalized that says, here's the decision and here's why you're only getting $18,000. And so we looked at it and said, what the heck? What's the basis for this? And unfortunately, at that point in time, we were back up against the deadline. And so I can understand why once the county gets sued, it kind of says, we're not going to deal with you informally anymore. You've brought this formal claim. But that's all fair comment. It's all well and good, but that's when the discussions stopped. And so we are sitting here thinking, we thought we were owed when we made some accommodations to the county. In other words, we accepted some of the valuation numbers just to provide a basis for discussion. And we're looking at a $60,000 refund. This is not taking things back to other/waste, but going with the assessor's category. The way the assessor dumped these properties into categories. We then, after we talked back and forth and revised the number down to 40, because essentially what happened was the rough justice discussion was, here's what happens to the numbers from 2022. The numbers from 23 and 24 were essentially close, within a couple $1,000s. The big number was for 2022, and we ran interest on that number and got to a figure that we thought we were owed. And that was what we put out there. But as I said, if we're going to bookend, fair is fair. When you all want money from us, it's waste. So now that we want money from you, it should be waste. The number goes up to 80. And that's what the spreadsheet shows you in the book. So that is, and I apologize, I've been a little long-winded, but that is the 2-year history, or more than 2 years, now it's 2.5 or better, coming on 3 actually, a year history of trying to get these matters resolved and trying to do it in a way that is respectful of the county, but also doesn't require us to just roll over and say, whatever, we don't care, because this is serious money. When it's serious for you, it's serious for us. So I'll take questions, if there are any, of course. I'll help people walk through the documents if there's some questions about those, or I'll just shut up and go away, or it suits you.
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and try to go through all of these documents right now in front of everybody. There's way too much. And I feel like the few questions that were popping into my head as you were speaking, you answered, so that was helpful. Thank you.
Well, and that's entirely fair. I didn't mean to blindside you by loading a whole bunch of stuff onto your plate, but at the same time, it lends credence to here's why we're taking the position we're taking. There have been these discussions, there have been these exchanges. And I've put statutes in there just if people want benchmarks and more probably for the county attorney's benefit than the commissioners themselves, but here's where we're coming from and here's the basis for our position, so that if you do want to review it in whatever private time you want to take, you at least have a comprehensive view of where we're coming from. But I certainly didn't expect you all to digest it on the fly today and pepper me with questions about everything.
Well, it might be helpful to maybe have the assessor give you some more information too, and then maybe you can come back up and have that discussion.
That'd be great. We'll clear out.
Thank you.
I haven't got much to say, just that, we send notices out every May and, every odd year, stating the value of all properties in Wood County. We get notices in, I don't remember the dates very good. I hadn't had an appraiser in my office for 3 years. I've been having health issues. I understand that doesn't take away statute, but we have other things going on besides. And I wanted to look at these properties. Just because somebody said I dried it up doesn't mean what to me. I wanna go look. December's not a good time to go look at something. A lot of times you can't tell what's going on that time. But nobody approached me about being overvalued and the time frame they have for that either. The commissioners gave me the authority to do anything up to $10,000. The $18,000 was brought to the commission. I said, this is what's happening. It wasn't done in a formal way. That's probably on me, I don't know. There was one done before that for $20,000 also brought to the commission. The rest of the properties were done as we could get to them. Yeah. We're a little office. We don't have a lot of resources. Trying to get by the best we can, and I didn't hire somebody else to go look at them. Maybe I should have done anything. I didn't do it on me. And I have never heard about wasteland. I wasn't involved in any of these discussions or saw any of them. I don't know what the hell somebody wrote or said or whatever. Nobody told me it was gonna be wasteland, and I dried up other ground and it's still on a dry farm. Has to be revegetated. They aren't grazing cattle on it. It's not grass, it's not grass. Dry farm. So somebody does different with it. Excuse me. I'm gonna hear him today.
And just for the commissioners, just because I've been involved in these negotiations, conversations, and for the record, I just want to say, this is a new board of commissioners, together collectively. I am the new county attorney, started in July. And so we are all just trying to understand, and work with the assessor as well. So I just want to put that on the record because 2023 is not what you're seeing here today. The other thing is just to address, so there were two farms that continued, so as Mr. Petrie said, there was an adjustment, right, in 2023. Didn't account for 2022, but happened in 2023. There were two farms that were supposed to be dry land. Well, we won't go to wasteland at this point, just dry land under the 1041 permit that was still continuing to be assessed as irrigated. So what the assessor did, that was brought to us in one of the many meetings that we had, that there are two farms that that's still being assessed as irrigated, was under the 1041 permit that had gotten missed. And so the assessor went out, did his evaluation, and so that 18,000 that they're talking about, whether I'm not, clearly they don't agree with the 18,000, but for you all to know, that was only on those two farms that needed correction. So we can discuss kind of where that is, but that wasn't for what you're talking about, all the farms. That only addressed the two farms that were incorrectly assessed as irrigated all of that time period that was supposed to be dry land. So I just want to clear that up. That wasn't potentially in resolution of everything that was for those two farms. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, that's helpful. We didn't even know what the 18 stood for, so.
Well, and I felt like I articulated in my email clearly, it didn't translate, and so, you know.
Appreciate that,
I
this was
apologize.
helpful.
I apologize for that, but that was for those two farms that needed to be redone. Okay. I don't know, Drew, I'm sorry, Mr. Petrie, you said that you had some questions.
I don't think that's appropriate today. This is
No,
not a
no
hearing.
questions.
No, because that guy's not prepared. He's came in here, you know, he's not prepared. Like what Conservative Farms is, and it's not a hearing. This could probably go down as evidence, so I totally disagree with any questions being asked to anybody.
Can I, then,
I'm sorry, Jude.
yeah, well, then if we're not gonna have questions, let me add some more information. The two farms are 19 and 110, just so if everyone's looking at charts and trying to track them down, those are the two that are the subject of the $18,000 of checks. And I believe that the $18,000 is both an abatement plus interest. So that's why the numbers may not square up entirely.
What were those two farms again?
19 and 110.
Thank you.
Certainly. The other thing I need to say in all fairness, this is not, it certainly was not intended to be a personal attack on the assessor. We understand it's
It sure felt like it.
we understood that the office was short-staffed. We understood that there might have been issues with people who weren't feeling well. But at the same time, now we're coming on 3 years, and when we filed, it was well over 2.5 years. And so it had just been enough time, and we had a statutory deadline. The other thing, I think I really need to alert the commissioners to, just as a fact. If you all go look at the notices of evaluation that get sent out, and they are, of course, standard forms, so if any of you own property, as I'm sure you all do, in the county, you could look at your own, because they are the same. And they're all the same by statute in Colorado. And those notices say, they have a statement in there that the legislature has directed the notices must include, and it says, if a property owner does not timely object to their property's valuation by June 8th under, and then it cites a statute, they may file a request for an abatement under section, and then the section that governs abatements. So timing becomes immaterial when we're talking about the petition for abatement. That is the issue that we're trying to get addressed here. And that, as I said, was the petition that was filed 2 years ago, mid-December. That is not a petition that necessarily falls on the assessor's plate to deal with. But we have obviously a fundamental disagreement as to whether the assessor was delegated the authority to address our claims. We believe he's only delegated the authority to review and reach an agreement in writing if they're under $10,000. Absent an agreement, he has no authority to do anything, and it bumps back to the board. So that's where we are on all of this. I'm sorry, Brad, I cut you off.
No, and sorry, just a couple.
You should say who you are.
I'm sorry, the chair would need to.
Yeah.
To call on him.
Oh, okay. The one question
Yep,
is,
fine.
before we. That he kind of had in before we. Said no more questions, but
And yeah, hopefully, I don't think it's a question, it's a statement. I'm Brad Johnson. I helped out with the projected taxes that we did in November. And then the last page of this other, and just, yeah, quick clarification. On the assessor's comment on other, did not bring in any of the other in the November ones. For my calculations, it was being assessed as grass in 2023 and 2024. We never brought up the other with the assessor then. So the initial one, that 60,000 number, was carrying it through how the assessor was calculating it, close to, pennies could definitely be rounded. But I was, the initial one, there was no discussion of other, and it was the grades. Now, obviously, there's raising 1, 2, 3, and 4, but there was no communication or calculations based off that other classification till this last one. So just a kind of point of clarification there from at least our side, there was no other, and it was pasture is what we were coming from. That looked from my side what it was being assessed at in 2023 and 2024. So just a quick clarification there, and then don't want to come across as attacking the assessor. It is just tough when we're like communication, and it could have been on me, but like it is tough. Yeah, and that, as Drew stated, and when that $18,000 came back with no support, the communication is just hard, where it's nice to have that support, so then it doesn't become a he said, she said, and it comes across as us attacking the assessor. So it's just that support as we, provide that backup. I think, would be helpful for our side as we're, communicating and calculating. So that's just my 2 cents. I appreciate you guys' time, and so I want to clarify that.
All of the abatements are done with a formal form. And that one came to the commissioners, it goes to the treasurer, I don't know what she does with those, I don't have a clue.
Do those, and just sorry, do those normally get mailed out, or do you know how
This
those?
is what I sent to you.
I give them to the treasurer, that's,
Okay, that's helpful, thank you, I appreciate it.
even calculate the interest.
no, I don't have anything to do with the interest. I do value and mill it.
That's helpful, thank you, I appreciate it.
okay, so. I think we've pretty much gotten up all we can get. We've got our manuals and. I think we can close the discussion at this time and. We'll consult our attorney and. See. Where we go from here, so.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
time
we
and
will.
consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
No.
They're paying to get them.
No.
You should have pulled them over.
Thanks, bro.
Appreciate it.
We're doing it, my guy. Well, that was when you back.
I'll get an empty box.
Oh, that's great.
I'm sorry. What it says, All good, you?
Makes sense.
We're gonna make that motion to go into an executive session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We might go into a vote session. And make some directions on that smaller. Just one.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Did you have any questions? You should really have a company. Yeah, no, yeah. That's why I'm sure.
Rose, I'm sorry.
No, and I apologize. I was treating it like a hearing and I wanted the assessor to have an opportunity to respond, but it wasn't. I wasn't, you were absolutely appropriate and that, and I apologize to you. So that. The whole day.
So. Can we take a quick recess?
Yeah, that's been good.
And do I have a motion to recess for 10 minutes?
I'll motion that we take a quick 10-minute recess.
I'll second.
All right.
Aye. Here we go.
Okay.
I would move that we reconvene our Board of County Commissioners meeting.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to reconvene the Board of County Commissioners meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so,
Do we want to end our meeting?
Hmm?
Do we want to just end our meeting?
okay. That,
There's nothing else?
no other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn, meeting adjourned.
Yes, we didn't vote, but it doesn't matter.